The Chicago Bears wrapped up mandatory minicamp and OTAs over the past month or so, which means they've got about 5 or 6 weeks until training camp begins in late July. Will Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus take a look at some free agents? They've both hinted at signing a player or two before training camp. We're going to take a look at some players that they could sign. Also, toward the end of the show, I'll share some photos from my vacation. My family and I had a very good time over the past week or so. I am back in the studio, excited to talk some Bears football and recap my vacation with all of you. All that and more coming up on today's show. Chicago Bears Now is presented by RexMD. Go to rexmd.com/chat to get a discount today and get yourself in the right track in the bedroom. My name is Harrison Graham. You are watching Bears Now by Chat Sports. We're going to take a look at some free agent targets before training camp here on today's show. We'll start with Yannick Ngakoue. Kind of going to take a different approach. We'll have some photos that we're cycling through as we go player by player on this video. And Ngakoue, to me, remains as just kind of the obvious name out there, right? And again, it's because the Bears did not have a good pass rush last year. And while I think it will be better even with what they currently have this year, I still think there's a ways to go. And adding a guy like Ngakoue is something that could help. He's been very consistent in his sack production in his career. 8 or more sacks in all 7 years of his NFL career, 65 in total, had 9.5 last season, had 10 the year before. Like, this is a player that can contribute at a very, very high level. And there's been some nuggets recently about Ngakoue. We talked about this from our video up in Colorado that I did, but the latest report that Ngakoue wants $8 to $10 million per year. He, of course, went on NFL XM radio a few weeks back, said he wants to sign a multi-year deal. Will the Bears give him a 2-year, $16 to $20 million contract? We'll see. Will another team do that? I'm not so sure. Obviously, Ryan Poles has been very selective on who he signs and how much money he hands out in free agency so far as his team's GM. I would like to add Ngakoue, even if it's a 2-year deal. We'll see what the price tag could look like when he does sign. Go from one edge to another. That is Jadeveon Clowney, who remains unsigned as well. And he's kind of the antithesis of Yannick Ngakoue. Ngakoue, great pass rusher. Clowney, not so much, but an excellent run defender. You look at his numbers in recent years, the sack production has kind of come and gone, right? Like this past year, 2 sacks. Year before, though, 9. Year before that, 0. Year before that, 3. I think his career high is 9 or 9.5. I think, can you get me somewhere in the middle, right? Like 5 or 6 sacks plus be a really good run defender. I think that's what I would hope for if I signed a guy like Jadeveon Clowney. Regardless of if it's Clowney and Ngakoue, someone else. We'll look at some other edge rushers on this video as well. I think adding one more vet defensive end just makes sense. I'm excited about DeMarcus Walker, but I think he's going to kick inside some. Dominique Robinson, Travis Gibson, are they going to be players that find their way into the mix consistently this year? Rasheem Green, we'll have to wait and see. But when it comes to Ngakoue and Clowney, what does Matt Eberflus want? The Bears clearly need an edge. We've outlined that for a long time now. But does Eberflus value pass rushing or run defense more? Like, does he want a guy that can set the edge and not let quarterbacks and running backs break contain in the run game? Or does he want someone that can just put his hand in the dirt and go get the quarterback like Ngakoue? So that's kind of the question the Bears have to answer and decide before they determine who they are willing to sign. Now, pick an edge rusher that Chicago should sign in NFL free agency. Type YN for Yannick Ngakoue, JC for Jadeveon Clowney. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Let's go to a different position. We'll go to tight end now. Cameron Brate, who has spent the last several years in Tampa Bay and kind of became a reliable target for Tom Brady the last few years, especially in the red zone. And something that I've said for a while, I think that the Bears have a clear need at their number 3 tight end. They have Chase Allen, they've got they've got Jake Tonjes, but after Cole Kmet and Robert Tonyan, they don't really have a proven third guy. And if they want to add a vet, a guy like Cameron Brate could make a lot of sense and fill that void as a free agent. In his career, he's been a reliable pass catcher. Now, he's not a starting tight end, but a guy you could bring in on third downs, 2 tight end sets if you want to rotate. Red zone, he's a guy who can provide production at that position. He's been around for a while, played with some good quarterbacks, like I mentioned, in Brady. So I would be intrigued by doing just that. Now, you guys should be intrigued by getting started with RexMD, and if you use our code RexMD.com/chat, our link, I should say, you get 90% off, only $2 per dosage, because, fellas, do you sometimes lack that confidence in the bedroom? Do you wish you could have a more fulfilling sex life? Well, you're not alone. That's why we're excited to tell you about RexMD, the online source for men's wellness. They offer an easy and discreet way to get the medication you need for ED without having to visit a doctor's office. With just a few clicks, you can have your medication delivered straight to your door and at a fraction of the cost of traditional pharmacies. RexMD's team of licensed physicians will work with you to find the right treatment plan, and their medication is made in the United States, so you can trust its quality. Plus, their customer support team is available 24/7 to answer any questions or concerns you may have. So if you're ready to take control of your sex life and say goodbye to ED, head on over to RexMD.com/chat and start your consultation today. Take advantage of the best deal they've ever offered and save up to 90% and pay only $2 per dosage with our exclusive link. So go to RexMD.com/chat. Take advantage of that deal. That's RexMD.com/chat to get up to 90% off. We go from one tight end to another, Marcedes Lewis, who's getting up there. I think he's 38 now. More of a blocking tight end, especially at this point in his career. I think we talked about him on a mailbag a couple weeks ago, but he's a guy that intrigues me because he knows this offense, and more importantly, he's just a solid blocker, even at this point in his career. Most teams, when they fill that third tight end role, they want a guy who can just be solid as a blocker, right? And that's something Marcedes Lewis can do. In the run game, he can block. In the pass game as well, he knows this system, having played under Luke Getsy in Green Bay when he was on that coaching staff. And, you know, again, kind of like when we looked at the two edge rushers in Ngakoue and Clowney, pick your poison here. You need a third tight end. Do you want a receiving option like Cam Brate, or do you want a blocking option like Marcedes Lewis? He's the better option as a pure blocker, plus has the knowledge of the offense. So I would lean with Lewis on a one-year deal, obviously, at his advanced age, but I'm certainly open to Cam Brate as well. Go to a different position. How about bringing back an internal free agent? DeAndre Houston-Carson, safety, special teams ace, remains unsigned. He's getting up there. He's 32 years old. But you look at the safety position right now for Chicago, and you're obviously set with your starters. Eddie Jackson, Jaquan Brisker. I think this could be one of the best pairings in the NFL. But your two primary backups, Elijah Hicks and Kendall Williamson, seventh-round picks for each of the last 2 years, you know, they're seventh-round picks. They haven't proven it at this level. Obviously, Williamson just got picked in April. And there's reports that surfaced from minicamp that Elijah Hicks struggled. I mean, he would get targeted a decent amount when he would enter the game. So if you want a more reliable third safety, DHC is that. And we know what he brings to the table on special teams. A guy who's been the special teams captain for this team. I would bring back DHC. And if that means you carry 5 safeties, or if Elijah Hicks, Kendall Williamson, they battle it out for that fourth safety job. The other one has to go to the practice squad. So be it. If he gets poached from another team, it's a seventh-round pick. It is what it is. I think if you have concerns after Brisker and Jackson, bringing back DHC makes too much sense. What do you guys think? Should the Bears bring back DeAndre Houston-Carson? Type Y for yes, or you can type in for no. I'd like to see it happen at this point. I could see him maybe signing before training camp. Another edge rusher here, Dawuane Smoot, who spent last season with the Jacksonville Jaguars, last few seasons, I should say. Different type of defensive end. He's bigger, but he's also had some pretty consistent production over the past several years. A guy who rotates in on passing downs, 5 to 6 sacks. That's kind of what he is, right? 5 sacks last year, 6 the year before, 5.5 in 20, 6 in 2019. You know what really stands out on this graphic too? He doesn't get hurt. He's never missed more than 2 games in a season over the past 4. He's massive at 6'3", 275. Versatility, could kick inside on passing downs. I think Flus likes that. He definitely likes bigger defensive ends in this scheme, and Smoot is that. So something to just keep in mind here, an under-the-radar name when it comes to a pass rushing option. Now, subscribe to the channel and join us tomorrow. We are back with our weekly live shows after missing last week while I was on vacation. We're back at it tomorrow, 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 Central Time. So don't miss out on that. Subscribe, join us. We will be live answering your questions, getting you caught up on everything else surrounding the Chicago Bears. So don't miss out. Sub, turn on noties. We have a good time. One more edge rusher here, Melvin Ingram, who, he's been more of a 3-4 guy throughout his career, but he's played in some 4-3s. He played with the Chiefs in 2021. They traded for him, so Ryan Poles is still in that front office. probably got to know Ingram at least a little bit there, was actually pretty decent last year for the Dolphins, too. Played in all 17 games, so you like that. Had 6 sacks, decent production there, 10 quarterbacks hit, had a forced fumble. Again, I think he's a lesser option than a guy like Ngakoue or Clowney, but someone who can rotate in and rush the passer for probably pretty cheap, you could certainly do a lot worse than Melvin Ingram. How about Robert Quinn? Would you bring back Robert Quinn? This is an interesting one because let's just call a spade a spade. He stunk last year. He was bad with the Bears, traded him to the Eagles. He was even worse. He just wasn't good. I mean, there's just no way to slice it. But just 2 seasons ago, he had 18.5 sacks. Like, that's not long ago. It's not like he just, he's been this heavy decline where he went from like 12 to 8 to 6 to 1 or something. No, like 18.5 sacks. Now, I've told you guys for like the last 5 or 6 years, he's kind of been this every other year guy. We're like, 1 year he's good, next year he's bad. 1 year he's good. So can he bounce back again? Like, I don't think he's going to have 18 sacks, but could he have 6 sacks next year? I don't think it's out of the complete realm of possibility. He's not that old. He's in the early mid-30s. He's younger than a guy like Justin Houston. If it's cheap, I do know this. He did not want to get traded by the Bears. He wanted to stay, even though the Bears weren't contending last year. So that tells me he likes Chicago, that, that door wouldn't be completely shut. I'm monitoring this. If it's vet minimum, I would absolutely do it. How about George Fant? I think the offensive line, we're excited about the new look O-line, and I do think the starting group could actually be pretty decent. But what we're not talking about a ton is the depth has major question marks. Like, I think Lucas Patrick is a somewhat reliable center guard guy, although he struggled at guard last year. But who's your swing tackle? Maybe it's George Fant. Maybe it's Taylor Lewan, who is also out there as well. I get the feeling that Lewan might just be done. He's had injuries. He might retire. But if either of these guys are interested in being a swing tackle for this team for, by the way, 2 very young tackles, rookie Darnell Wright and Braxton Jones. So if you're a vet, you might be looking at this like, hey, not only if they get hurt would I get to play, if they struggle, I could get a chance to play too. Like if Braxton Jones has a sophomore slump, well, you got a vet swing tackle that could kick in there. The Bears need one. I mean, Alex Leatherwood, Larry Borum, do you trust either of those 2 guys to lock down that swing tackle spot? I mean, even Matt Eberflus at the end of minicamp kind of called out Larry Borum, said, hey, it's a big summer for him. So I don't think that job is determined at all. There are a couple vet options that I just mentioned that I think would be upgrades at that position. How about Dalton Risner? Now, I just showed you guys the depth chart. I don't think Risner is super intrigued to come here right now because he wants to start somewhere. And quite frankly, he can't start somewhere. But that's not going to happen here. Tevin Jenkins is not getting benched. You just paid Nate Davis 3 years and $30 million. So, I'm interested in the fact that, hey, I would pay him more than normal backup money to be that swing interior guy because I think he's a very solid player. But the reality is he's probably going to wait for a starting opportunity. But I did want to mention him. Maybe I'll say this. If a Bears player gets hurt in training camp at guard and he's still unsigned, that's a guy I would sign to plug and play right away. Okay, a few other notable guys, and then we'll get out of here. Marcus Peters at corner. It sounds like Tyreek Stevenson is picking things up quickly and could be in light to start. If that's the case, going corner probably doesn't make sense. But if they feel like, Stevenson isn't quite ready or, Kyler Gordon isn't taking the jump they want, Peters is a vet they could be interested in. Justin Houston at edge. Both Poles and Eberflus are familiar with him. Now, he's not a perfect fit in a 4-3, but he knows how to rush the passer. DeAndre Hopkins, I'm just mentioning him for namesake. They're not gonna sign him. But what if he's unsigned in training camp and God forbid one of your top 3 guys gets hurt? Then you have the money to sign him. You could do it then. I don't think he'll wait until midway through training camp, but we'll have to wait and see. Shelby Harris, if you want a vet defensive tackle, and then Carlos Dunlap, one more edge rusher. That could make some sense. All right, guys, a lot of free agents still out there, and some guys that I think could help this team. So name a free agent that the Bears should sign. Let us know in the comments. Pretend you're Ryan Poles for a day, who you ink into a contract. I'm signing Yannick Ngakoue, but let me know who that player is for you. All right, I am back from vacation. Just wanted to share a few photos. Took our baby son, PJ, up to Colorado. We got a family spot up there. Had a good time. Got to cool off. It's hot as hell down here in Texas. So my wife, our new son, Hannah's sister came with us as well. We had a good time. Here's kind of a side shot of the cabin we have My parents' place. I can't afford a cabin, obviously. But yeah, it was a good time. Enjoyed it. I encourage each of you out there, if you're able to make it work, go take a vacation, reset. We got a big football season coming up. We all got to unwind and get ready. It was a good time to spend some time with family and my son. First vacation for him, obviously. So had a really, really good time. Also want to shout out Matthew Peterson, filled in, did a few episodes here on Bears Now while I was gone. Round of applause to him and the rest of the staff that helped get some content out. Obviously, I pre-recorded some videos as well, but can't get it done without the guys behind the scenes. So shout out to everybody in the office. My name's Harrison Graham. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bears Now Live, 4 o'clock Eastern.